Truth warrior, woke destroyer.
Only in America.
Randy Tobler.
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Only in America, where we dream as big as we want to.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
This morning, as we slept around 1 o'clock in the morning, our time, joint strikes, first initiated by Israel and then joined, I think, with the U.S. Air Force as well, air power as well, as best we can tell from the early reporting, carry out a daytime strike on Iran with bombs going off, missiles being dropped in the heart of to, I think, unleash a torrent of discussion, criticism, approval from all sides, different opinions here in America. I know that you all listening will have opinions as well. We'll want to see and hear those. 314-912-1019, the number. The show has, of course, already been designed, guests scheduled. I'm seeing if we can get some other guests in and trying to work on that as we are in a fluid situation this morning. President Trump telegraphing this yesterday. Clip R7, Jerome talks about that. And then we're going to go back to more of his statement today. But he telegraphed his frustration yesterday with the third day of talks breaking down on Thursday. And this is a little bit of what he said there on the tarmac.
Well, they should make a deal, but they don't want to quite go far enough, and it's too bad. Look, we've been playing with them for 47 years, and that's a long time. They've been blowing the legs off our people, blowing the face off our people, the arms. They've been knocking out ships one by one. But every month there's something else, so you can't put up with it too long. We're not happy with the negotiation. They just don't want to. They don't want to say the key words, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They have to say, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they just can't quite get there. They want to enrich a little bit. You don't have to enrich when you have that much oil. So I'm not happy with the negotiation.
I think his analysis is on. Clearly, they do not need to enrich to the potential they were. And in the context of a regime, not all, but many of whose leaders, including Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, back when they took over, the theocracy took over back in the late 70s, the early Ayatollahs, others along the way, members of parliament and others have long said that Iran was paving the way for the return of the Mahdi, that is the apocalyptic end of the world. And with those kind of statements and with their behaviors, I understand the analysis. I understand the threat. We've talked with Steve Bucci about the threat. We've talked about the national security threat with what is apparently a fairly advanced offensive missile system that they have, ballistic missiles, with some reach. And should those become tipped with nuclear warheads somehow, someday, then of course that it would be an existential threat to the United States. Others saying, well, what happened to that? Not going to get you into any wars, Donald Trump. What happened to the George Washington posture of don't get involved in foreign entanglements? There are arguments on all sides, aren't there? That's why we're here to talk about it all morning. We're going to talk to Congressman Onder a little bit later at about 7:25. You won't want to miss that. At 6:25, we're going to talk with Jared Knott. He's a decorated Vietnam combat veteran. He's written a book about little blunders in the world's history that have led to major conflicts, like world wars and so forth. So it'll be an interesting analysis. He's, of course, a veteran, a historian, and an author. So that'll be an interesting analysis as well. Todd Schowalter will join us later in the program, and we're working on getting some other guests as well. So we welcome you into the program. Hope that you can join us, too, all morning as things evolve. We'll keep you informed and engaged with the news as it breaks. Israel is working to intercept Iranian missiles as we speak, and I think this is the beginning of epic fury. Jerome, I think it was not a matter of if, but when, right? I mean, I think it was inevitable based on the buildup, the message to the Israeli embassy, our embassy over there, to clear out the staging of fighter jets for the first time in Israel, our fighter jets there. So I think it was a matter of not if, but when.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at the last time we got involved when we so-called obliterated their nuclear capabilities. What was that, last year in around July? Right after we conducted that and there was supposed to be a ceasefire, they went right back to fighting again. So I think that this was maybe just an extension of that from before. It quieted down for a little bit. Obviously, there's a lot of unrest going on in Iran right now, but I think that it's inevitable that we were going to go back there regardless of what was being fed to us at the time.
And Jerome, I know that we wanted to really highlight what I think is, and I am really praying and hoping what will be the final downfall of this regime and a takeover by the people who have been oppressed, whose economy is in ruin, who are impoverished, and who I think want to embody a more pro-Western worldview and not that apocalyptic existential threat to Israel, to other states, other areas in the Middle East, as well as oil security, let's be honest about it, and worldwide sponsors of terrorism. President Trump, in his early morning, when did we get it? Around 2 a.m.? Is that when it was released? 2 a.m. our time?
That's when I started seeing it pop up, yeah.
Yeah. And here's where he spoke to the Iranian people. Here's where he spoke to them.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help.
This is interesting. He says, for many years you've asked for our help, and I think it's crystal clear now. We have opened the door. We are opening the door. You have asked for this. This is your chance, and this is probably your last chance. I don't think that there'll be another opportunity for the Iranian people to take back their government from the tyrannical, oppressive, terrorist regime. We'll see. Barack Obama had a chance to do this, I think, without the use of kinetic energy. There was very little support in terms of sanctions back in the Green Revolution in 2010-11. This is now requiring, because they've progressed further with their armaments and their capabilities, I think perhaps it's required an escalation in what it will take to open those doors. And Trump, to his credit, is saying, look, this is it. This is your challenge. And isn't it interesting, Jerome, and how much how unique is that to say to the police, to the law enforcement, to the Iranian National Guard or Revolutionary Guard, hey, this is your chance for full immunity. This, you're either with them or against them. It's almost as though it sounds like an echo of the same challenge that he said to the Democrats on Tuesday night, right? Either are you for illegals or for your Americans, or if you're for Americans, stand up, and they didn't. Now we'll see if the Iranians will stand up and take back their country.
I mean, it's an interesting, I guess, option to present to them, because a lot of the people that he said, if you put your arms down, you'll be given basically amnesty. These are some of the same individuals that are openly firing on crowds of people that are protesting, and also engaging in torture and executions on behalf of the current regime. I'm not entirely certain that it would be a good idea to blanket pardon all of them for these actions, in case we don't have a very good history of regime change, and if we keep the people that are willing to engage in this in their positions, or allow them to be reinstated in those positions whenever we get rid of the current regime, I'm not entirely confident that that's going to be the best outcome for the Iranians right now.
And that was the same kind of trepidation that I think we've all expressed in terms of Hamas and Gaza. When you take out Hamas or most of Hamas, what do you end up with? A bunch of gang and tribal groups that want to seize power there in Gaza. On the other hand, what we've been doing foreign policy-wise for a long time hasn't worked very well. The Iranians have continued to spread terror the world. Now South America, they have involvement there. And I think, the Dunroe Doctrine says, no, we're not going to have it anymore. I tend to fall in that camp. I know there are many of you who say no. I think it's fair to say that's an isolationist type of an approach. Understandable. Strengthen our country so mightily, so economically mightily, that maybe we can economically topple people. The critique of that posture is that you have evildoers like China and, Russia to a lesser extent, but China and now Iran spreading their evil throughout the world, including in areas in our neighborhood. And how does that bode for us? Cuban Missile Crisis wise, right? That's what I'm thinking there. So things are moving with international geopolitics. They always move at the speed of Trump when Trump's in office. There's certainly not going to be any more backsliding, more gifts to Iran. In fact, this is a gift to the Iranian people. And I don't expect that. In fact, I'm absolutely confident that there won't be. However, I'll be very disappointed if there is some kind of an interim United States run government in Tehran, should the regime topple. We saw that fail miserably in Iraq. And I think that our expectation would be that they're just not the theocracy hell-bent on death to America. The other day in the parliament there, they were burning an American flag, or at least a paper representation of that, and shouting death to America. Now, that's rhetoric, but when they're backing up by continuing to enrich uranium beyond anyone's power needs, you can only assume that they're building up for a destructive purpose. So we'll see where it goes. We'll keep following it all morning. If stay with us, and we'll talk with Jared Knott in just a minute and ask him if he is concerned about a potential blunder that could lead to a regional war, a world war. God help us not. When we come back on the Randy Tobler Show. Stay tuned. You're listening to News Talk STL 1019 94.1 on another high-impact Saturday morning. Stay tuned.
These are interesting times, aren't they?
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
I'm very angry.
I've heard a lot of people talking about gun control. You'd have to wave a magic wand and get rid of the establishment.
This maniac is going to inspire the next maniac.
news, analysis, opinion.
But my focus is kind of a mental health crisis. Swamp's not going to drain itself.
I'm just sick of the protesting in general, and that's why it's so very important to be prepared.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. As we follow the important issues facing Jefferson County, if you want to stay informed on Jeffco politics, especially in this all-important midterm election year, make sure to tune in this and every Sunday at high noon here on NewsTalkSTL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
If it's a big story in Jefferson County, you'll hear about it on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Sundays at noon on NewsTalkSTL.
Hey, it's Vic and Ken with something important.
Yeah, Missouri's veterans aren't done serving, they're leading.
Join us March 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Washington University's historic Holmes Lounge for the next mission, Missouri's Veterans Leading the Way.
Hear from General Frank Grass, former member of the Joint Chiefs, plus veteran leaders from Equifax and Scale AI.
Business leaders, veterans, and community members from across Missouri. This conversation on veteran leadership and mental health matters.
It's free and open to the public, but seating is limited.
Register now at welcomehomeforum.org.
Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, debuting this Sunday night at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with very special guest Mark Meadows, hosted by Tim Jones. Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
This is Larry Connors reminding you to listen to my program Monday through Friday at 6 p.m., the Larry Connors USA Daily Report. But now, back to the outstanding Dr. Randy Tobler.
Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond.
Well, there's Donald Trump this morning in an early morning message on Truth Social announcing epic fury. If you're just getting up with us, he said it was imminent. He said it was going to take 10 to 15 days, roughly 10 days ago. Expressed frustration yesterday that the Iranians were piddling around and not seriously negotiating. And now Israel and the United States have launched attacks on Tehran, and there have been counterattacks in Israel and other U.S. bases around the Middle East. Joining us now, Jared Knott. He's a decorated combat infantry officer, author of a book, Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, The Many Tiny Mistakes That Changed the World Forever. And Jared, welcome into the program. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all of your sacrifice for the country. I know you're praying for your brothers in arms today because certainly America's troops are going to be under assault across the Middle East.
Yes, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. You're exactly correct. One of our biggest hopes and prayers is that American casualties are kept at zero. I think I was just listening now. So far, they don't think there's been any casualties in Israel, but of course, a lot can happen.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. When we scheduled the interview, it was to talk about President Trump's State of the Union speech, his recognition of the valiant helicopter pilot who sounds like, despite near mortal wounds, continued on with the mission in the whole Maduro Venezuelan interdiction thing. And
very courageous. Yes.
It really was, and to see that man standing there, and to see the great patriotism expressed by most of the people in the chamber was truly amazing, wasn't it?
Yes, it's always been the price of freedom that there are sacrifices made in terms of death, as well as, of course, serious injuries, crippling injuries. So he was just one example of many that have been paying that price going back to the American Revolution. You're exactly right.
Let's talk a little bit about this action. There are, of course, widely varying views on the right. On many people listening to this show, in fact, would be saying this morning, why are we getting engaged in foreign entanglements? I thought George Washington was against that. I thought that Donald Trump said he wasn't going to get us involved in wars. We are launching something. Others saying, no, Iran has consistently for almost a half a century shown nothing more than their intent to destroy the West, to build up nuclear armaments and lob them on missiles ultimately, and sponsor terrorism around the world as well. Where do you stand?
Yes, I think you have to see the Iranian regime, the theocracy there, as a cancer, a source of endless death and endless trouble. Of course, with the Houthi rebels, with Hamas, with Hezbollah, their proxies, they're constantly trying to attack Israel. They're constantly trying to attack the United States, death to the United States. It's like this evil operation had to be pulled up by its roots and eliminated altogether, because for 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, on into the future, it will continue to be this building of nuclear facilities. They just didn't seem to get it at the negotiating table. They just didn't seem to understand that they're going to have to eliminate the nuclear program, eliminate their missiles. They were intractable. And so you're dealing with people that just don't see reason. And the only way to solve this problem is to go in and, as I said, pull it up by its roots and eliminate it altogether. I'm very much in favor of what they're doing. Hopefully American casualties will be at zero. Hopefully the casualties in Israel will also be at zero, and the people in Iran, 90% of whom support regime change, are now going to have an opportunity for a democratic government. We hope and pray that's the direction that we're heading.
You know, we were talking earlier, we've interviewed Dr. Walid Faris a lot. You probably know Walid, a Lebanese Christian who was an advisor to the first Trump candidacy and even during the administration. And he's so knowledgeable about the Middle East. And he, along with so many Americans, I think, were so regretful that back in the Green Revolution, when the same uprising was happening in Iran, there was an opportunity, perhaps less kinetically, for the United States to support regime change at that time and see a tack towards more Western worldview. I guess maybe that was a huge mistake, maybe a blunder, to borrow a word out of the title of your book. What kind of blunders could be happening now? Could happen either from the Iranian regime's perspective in their own defense, if you will, or from Israel and the U.S. What kind of blunders could lead to a major world war or a larger conflict in the area?
Yes, but historically speaking, whenever a government is overthrown by revolution, usually that government has been greatly weakened by economic problems or by military setbacks. Go back to Russia in World War I. It was only because they had been so decimated in the war with Germany that the revolution was able to be successful. It was a knocking over a very weakened government. Same thing going way back to the French Revolution. They had supported the President of the United States of America, which was greatly appreciated, and the American Revolution might not have been successful without their help. But in the process, they had gone into bankruptcy. They were a very weakened government, and that's why the revolution was able to overturn them. Well, that's a similar situation in Iran. They had a horrible, horrible drought there. Plus, there have been huge economic sanctions brought against them by the United States and by Western Europe. They're a very weakened government. Now is the time, much weaker than they were during the Green Revolution. So now is the time. Now is the time to pull them up and replace them. And again, the most important thing of all, people might say, well, gee, we did this in Iraq, and we had this mess. We had all the people killing Americans on the street, American soldiers, had people with suicide bombs and so on and so forth. The big difference here in Iran is such a high percentage of the people, and we maybe 85, 90% of the people very much want regime change. 10% of the people were holding control of the government because they had the guns, but they did not have the support of the people. And what we're going to see, I hope, is that huge, huge outpouring of support for a new government that brings democracy, that brings freedom, free enterprise, and it's going to be a revolutionary change physically as well as philosophically in the direction of the Middle East as a result of this. So we have a good opportunity for success like we've never had before, much better opportunity than we had in the Green Revolution where the government was not nearly so weak.
We're talking with Jared Knott, a decorated combat infantry officer, served in Vietnam, author and historian. The book is Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, book 2, The Many Tiny Mistakes That Changed the World Forever. It's a timely discussion. Yeah, I think that perhaps this time can be different. I think a lot of Americans are sunburnt. They looked at Libya, look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan. It didn't work out real well. But in the clip we played coming into this segment, Jared, I think it's fair to say Trump has said, hey, we're opening the door for you, Iranians. If you choose not to walk through it, it may close for generations, right? This is your opportunity, and we'll have to see where that goes. You know, is it fair to say, is it an overreach looking from a sort of a 30,000 foot, perspective, that the Abraham Accords were sort of laying some of the groundwork for at least a neutral position on some of the neighborhoods there? I call it Donald Trump's neighborhood watch that he set up. Because the other Arab states they're not too friendly. They don't really approve of Iranians' disruptiveness. But was that sort of the fertile ground now to where at least those people in the other countries and leaders will stand down and maybe in other ways, economically, otherwise, help a new Iran evolve out of this? Is that a pipe dream, or could that be true?
No, I think the Abraham Accords laid down one of two pathways that the Middle East could take. You could go down the pathway of peace, prosperity, building bridges, using your millions of dollars, oil money to build bridges, schools, hospitals, factories. They have a peaceful, prosperous life. That's one avenue. The other avenue was, let's see if we can spread as much terrorism as possible throughout the Middle East, bomb as many innocent civilians as we possibly can, send missiles against civilians, killing children, killing people who want nothing more than peace. Those are the two avenues that were laid out in front of the people of the Middle East and the Iranian people now. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot going on behind the scene. I'm sure there's going to be CIA operations inside Iran, providing weapons, providing encouragement, providing supplies, leadership. And, of course, they may have eliminated the military and now civilian leadership in Iran. So an awful lot's going to be done to help the Iranian people. But in terms of stepping forward and fighting the battle, it is going to be the Iranian people with the help of the United States and Israel and other nations, Western European nations, to do the tough work of establishing a new government and eliminating the vestiges of what remains of the old government. Now, it could be that the leadership is now dead, they hope, with bunker-busting bombs and so on and so forth. So it could be there'll be confusion on the part of the existing government and a bold action on the part of the civilians. And the revolutionaries in Iran may have a very good chance of establishing peace. We hope, we pray, and we will see.
How would you answer I've seen some online detractors of the initiative say, well, this is just a wag the dog maneuver. Trump's tanking in the polls. Midterms don't look real good. This is what presidents do when they have some political trouble.
No, that's in fact, I'm sure he would have preferred a peaceful settlement to the difficulties in Iran. The Iranians just absolutely are so fanatical, so intransigent that they just would not be able to. You can't negotiate with them. They had to be eliminated and removed. Look at all the tens of thousands of dead people in Iran. Look at all the thousands of people dead from the terrorist activities. That's just not going to cease. There was not going to be any solution except by to eliminating them altogether. I think he made the right decision. And again, he would have preferred a peaceful solution, but a peaceful solution just was not available. The people were just not going to see reason.
All right. Well, Jared Knott, thank you very much again for your service, for your analysis from a guy who's had boots on the ground and knows what it is to fight war. But I guess also a lot of folks like you also say, boy, if you can show very overwhelming early power, it seems to maybe in the end reduce the overall carnage, right? Is that a fair way to describe this kind of a thing?
Exactly. The principle of overwhelming force. You're exactly right. People can go to tinyblundersbigdisasters.com, tinyblundersbigdisasters.com to see my two books, my best-selling books, and it's a fun website to visit there.
Yeah.
I have a portrait gallery, et cetera, and I would appreciate it very much.
It is great, and there's some fun reels there, videos as well that really point out a lot of these little blunders throughout history that were turned out to be major cataclysmic mistakes at the time.
Yeah.
So great writing.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with me. Really appreciate it, Jared.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Oh, there he is. There's one analysis. What's yours? Let us know. There's a lot of rolling in on the various video feeds here, and those include Rumble and YouTube and Facebook. Are we on X as well, Jerome?
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Yep, X is a great way so you can easily share the content. But if you want to join in on the conversation yourself, we have a very active Rumble group that you can get involved with. Leave your comments if you agree or disagree with what you're hearing.
Yeah, it's good discussion. I mean, I think it's we're going to lay open the various arguments, and I think I generally fall on the side of I'm okay with quick, decisive, overwhelming, but not occupying posture. I think that's sort of where I am right now. But things change. We'll see. Not right now, though. I think it's time to take out this regime, or let the Iranians take out this regime with a little bit of air power help, and then let them either make or break their own society going forward. What do we have to lose is, I guess, the question, because what's working out for us, or what's been going on so far, has not been working out well in terms of their absolute refusal to abandon their nuclear ambitions. That's where I stand. Where do you stand? 314-912-1019. We'll ask Dr. Bob Onder at 725 where he stands. Todd Schowalter joining us a little later. And we want to hear your comments, too. Give us a buzz. It's 1019-94.1 News Talk STL, The Tobler Show, Saturday morning.
Randy Tobler.
It's my favorite show in the entire world.
This is News Talk STL.
We'll be right back.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Are you a proud American? Then join us for the Lincoln Trump Dinner, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters, hosted by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. The evening features a VIP reception, dinner and program with live music by the Comparato Trio. Register online at stcharlesgop.com. Don't miss this celebration of America's 250th year, the Lincoln Trump Dinner. See you March 20th.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Mark Schmitz, father of Jared Schmitz, the founder of the freedom13.org.
We've met with Trump now, I think it's 6 times. Trump has been fantastic. What you see on TV is what you get in real life. I mean, we spent 6 hours at private dinner with him. It wasn't stuffy. It wasn't uncomfortable. It literally felt like you were at your Uncle Bob's backyard barbecue, but he knew information about my son.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
When it comes to heating, cooling, and refrigeration, trust the family that's been keeping St. Peters comfortable since 1974. Hey, it's Susie Moore, and D.L. Pranger HVAC is small enough to care, experienced enough to deliver. Got a competitor's bid? They'll beat it by 20%, guarantee. From home HVAC to commercial refrigeration, beer caves to restaurant coolers, D.L. Pranger does it all. Licensed, insured, and 100% customer satisfaction guaranteed. Call 314-640-9617 or find them on Facebook. That's 314-640-9617.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
You are awesome. Thanks for tuning in. It's a very consequential morning here on the Tobler Show and around the nation, around the world, in the Middle East. It was dropping on Tehran. Reports coming out of, now this is from the Times of Israel, that assassination attacks on Khomeini and leaders in Iran. If you're just joining us, Operation Epic Fury has been launched. A 2 a.m. message by Donald Trump on Truth Social said that, hey, Iran, the Iranian people, this is your chance. We're opening the door for you. We'll see what you do with it. Telling the Revolutionary Guard, the other military members there, who just a few weeks ago were shooting citizens in the street, that if they put down their arms, they will have immunity. So it's an open invitation for regime change. That's the intent. I don't know any other way to cut it. 314-912-1019. Tom joins us now on the Tobler Show. Tom, your thoughts?
Good morning, Doctor.
Morning.
I'm no doctor, but you make me feel smarter just by agreeing with you. I hope it's quick, it's furious, and no boots on the ground. Come from a military and police family. I got my nephew's nephew was over in Bahrain, and they were attacked, I think a week or 10 days ago. The base wasn't hit, but it was more of a warning shot type of thing.
Wow.
But Iran needs to be quelled.
I didn't hear that, Tom. Tell me more about that. I mean, maybe I missed that in the reporting. But was this sort of a ground attack and led by Iran proxies on our base in Bahrain? I didn't know that.
They believe it was a proxy, but it was a rocket, and it didn't hit the base, but close enough where they knew it was.
Yeah. Well,
more of a reprisal against the president taking a strong stand.
Yeah. Well, this
That's
is
all I know about it. But.
Well, listen. Thanks to you, and we'll be praying for you, relatives, and all service members over there, and hoping that is swift, overwhelming, certain, and that the Iranian people take advantage of this opportunity. So we'll see. Tom, thanks very much.
I've been listening to your show every Saturday morning for a while now, and I haven't disagreed with you yet. I don't know if that makes you dumb or me smart, but we'll go with it.
No. Have you just talk to my wife, and you'll be convinced of my stupidity. Don't worry about that, Tom. No problem there.
It's the same way with me. I hope I'm never as dumb as my kids think I am, but I'll never be as smart as my grandkids think I am.
No, and you will disagree, and if you don't disagree with me at some point, there's something wrong probably with both of us, right? Because I mean, that's the great part of this. That's the great part of this show. That it's a great opportunity for discussion and and very informed discussion as well. Thanks very much, Tom. Appreciate the listen.
What I love about
Thank
the
you.
station. There's open discussion. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's a
for your
beautiful
support, Tom.
thing. Thank you. And it's true. I think I disagree with some of the people you hear during the weekday. They disagree with me, but we often agree on major things, and it's great. I mean, that's the America I grew up in, where people, whether they were, quote, on your side or not, you can still have nice spirited discussion. And I think most Americans always agreed that America is great. America and its great philosophy and this great experiment called America and our Constitution is the greatest thing to ever hit the planet. The question is how to preserve it. I mean, I think we all have that goal. Now, what concerns me recently in the last decade or two is that we have people, mostly on the left, who just hate America. They don't want America. Many of them are represented by the likes of Ilhan Omar. They find very little good about America except using its values and its justice system and its courts and our freedoms and our due process, some distorted by their definition, to destroy America.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, because I've been keeping track of a couple different news sources.
Please.
And here's some updates of what's being reported at the moment. So this comes 8 minutes ago. There are currently reports of dozens killed in the initial Israeli strike in Iran. This is on the Iranian side, that there are a couple, more than 60 have been injured, and there are reports of more than 20 people killed on the Iranian side. Before this was reported 13 minutes ago, that Iran is warning the neighboring countries. So initially, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, all because they all have military bases in their countries, they all have maintained that they have the right to defend themselves and that they're not just going to let Iran fire missiles into their countries at the bases there. Now, the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, he's contacted the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Iraq, and warned them not to let U.S. and Israel use their territories to attack Iran, or else those countries could become legitimate targets for retaliation by Iran as well. So that was most.
That's great reporting, Jerome. And I think, you've got to assume that Trump and Hegseth and Rubio and everyone have been talking with the officials in those countries. And while they've maintained a publicly neutral posture in terms of, they made the statement that they did not want F-22s being recommitted there or whatever. I mean, I know we have bases there, but they made a comment that they did not want that to happen. I think that was probably more for their own internal consumption for their people. But now is the moment of decision, I think, and I'm actually okay with that. I think now is the time to push these Arab nations to make a decision. Do you want to come into civilization, as your economies have? My God, some of the most advanced technology and architecture have been built in those countries, and I think now is the time. Maybe they'll be challenged to make a decision. Are you with us or are you against us? Maybe I'm okay with that, because there comes a point where we don't want people equivocating and being double agents. I don't want countries being double agents. I think they need to decide to either be, and I use this in a metaphorical term, more Western, or do they want to return to, vagabond, Bedouin, nomadic, tribal mentality? What do they want to do? And maybe this will force their hand, and they'll have to make a decision and declare.
I'm not too sure about that, though. That's pretty much. I mean, all of this just reminds me of the exact same arguments that were used when we were talking about toppling Saddam in Iraq, and how important that would be for peace in the Middle East and the stability of that area. That completely backfired. I also heard the similar things with Gaddafi, who's not a good guy by any means, but the Libya has still not recovered anywhere close to pre-Gaddafi levels when it comes to public safety and their quality of life. After we helped get rid of him, Syria, prime example. We had to get rid of Assad, and we helped install a former Al Qaeda ranked member, Militant, who had a $10 million bounty from us. We helped him become the new president of Syria. And so far, it seems like one of his priorities, even though he said he was going to play nice with us, he was going to be an ally to Western values, is that he started to commit atrocities against the Druze people. I think it's Druze. And so Israel was issuing military statements against them as well. So I don't think we have, that's not even counting when we helped install Batista in Cuba. That's not counting when we thought Panama, the Manuel, I think his name was going to be a good ally.
Noriega.
Yeah, and then he became too confident and too cocky, and we had to invade Panama to get rid of him. So,
right.
I mean, yes, in a perfect world, I think that it would be very nice to be able to say that this is the opportunity for Iran to finally get back in control, to return to the pre-regime ways, because they were very westernized, they were very free, they didn't have forced hijabs, they were not a theocracy. But at the same time, there have been so many major developments in the geopolitical, theocratic, and militarism of jihadist movements in that region that, just like what we're seeing now with Venezuela after we got Maduro, it was supposed to be we're just going to grab him, put the better person in place, get out of there. And the current estimate is we're still going to have to police that area for the next several years. So I'm not too certain. Help me understand the optimism. Help me get on board that train.
Well, I have some assumptions, and one of my assumptions is, and this is from a guy who's going to spend most of the weekend getting ready to kill weeds on my farm. I've spent the last 25 years just fighting weeds, invasive species that grow up here and there. And I find that if I don't spray them with some weed killer early on, sometimes they grow up to be thorny locusts or massive sprawling, autumn olive and other invasives. And then I have to take a big old 18 or 20-inch chainsaw that breaks my back and hurts me and then leaves me in pain for several days. And I think that there are evildoers, sometimes within our own country, that are like weeds. And I'll throw my lots with America and its generally virtuous history and formation, that at least for the most part, America has its bearings straight in terms of freedom and supporting that, and protecting our own ability to continue to be the greatest nation the planet's ever seen. And that you just got to control the weeds once in a while. And I just think that, unfortunately, no one else on the globe other than the West, led by America and aided by a Western Israel, is able to somehow control the weeds. And I think that the other thing you do is when you control those weeds, and when I kill them aggressively with overwhelming force, I then plant other things that tend to suppress weeds. I view the Abraham Accords as that way. My hope is that this is a different environment now under the Abraham Accords and that first Trump administration outreach and organization of the Middle East. Because, look, we've talked to Walid Faris plenty of times, and he said, look, the other nation states there don't appreciate Iran and their disruptiveness. It interrupts their oil business, the flow of it through the Straits of Hormuz. And, they're generally on board with getting Iran the heck out of there, or at least the theocratic regime. And But they have to dance carefully too, because in their backyard, I mean, it's a different equation from their perspective to their people and the people around them. They can't be as aggressive, shall we say. I think largely because of religious and cultural backgrounds and potential threats to their own existence. So I think the Abraham Accords create a different construct. Is it perfect? No. But I only see under the globalist policies of Barack Obama, of, Bill Clinton for a while, and certainly under Joe Biden, I saw nothing more but threats to America's security. And my thought is it's time that, again, I've used the analogy, sometimes you need to have a policeman who once in a while he mostly swings that billy club standing on the corner saying, now, boys, settle down. That's usually all it takes. Once in a while, he's got to clobber someone. I hope and pray that that's what's happening today. We'll see. And maybe cooler heads will prevail. We'll come back and talk more about that and some other things going on here on the Tobler Show. All sides welcome, 314-912-1019.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that, the stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
2026, a great time to visit Lit Cigar Lounge. The Lit Cigar Facebook has numerous events from tastings to music. My main reason for going to Lit is always quality cigars, premium whiskeys. Odds are we'll see each other at Lit Cigar Lounge. A few doors down, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta. Get a pizza baked over coals. Excellent crust and flavor. Or choose one of the many great pasta dishes. You won't leave hungry. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta and Lit Cigar Lounge in the Chesterfield Valley.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Join the Franklin County Republican Central Committee for the 2026 Annual Lincoln Reagan Banquet, Thursday, March 26th at 333 Vineyards in Washington, Missouri. Meet local and statewide elected officials, enjoy a catered dinner, gun raffle, silent auction, and hear from special guest Doug Billings. Help us hold on to the U.S. House and Senate in 2026. Visit fcrcc.org. That's fcrcc.org. Lincoln Reagan Banquet, March 26th at 333 Vineyards.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers. Sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
The U.S. and Israel have launched a major attack on Iran. President Trump calling on the Iranian public to seize control of their own country. Here's the BBC's Joe Inwood.
The U.S. president confirmed they were joint strikes. He posted an 8-minute video on social media.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world.
Iran has promised a swift and crushing response against not just Israel, but U.S. bases across the region.
That's BBC's Joe Inwood. Some of the first strikes appear to hit areas around the offices of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Speaking with the Salem Radio Network, military affairs analyst, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis says that there are limitations to the effectiveness of aerial attacks.
You're not going to take over Iran and defeat Iran from the air. You can bomb it to misery, but if you really want to take over, you have to have a ground force. And right now, there's not an organized, organic capability.
The strikes come after tensions soared in recent weeks as American warships moved into the region. President Trump says Secretary of State Marco Rubio, meanwhile, is engaged in high-level talks with the Cuban government.
The Cuban government is talking with us. They're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money. They have no anything right now. But they're talking with us, and maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba.
Tensions with Cuba high ever since the U.S. ousted Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. More from townhall.com.
Whether you're preparing for exams, juggling family and career, or just looking to stay sharp as you age, Think Factor is here to help. Created by the same company that makes Relief Factor, Think Factor supports sharper focus, stronger recall, and clearer thinking. It's the natural way to give your brain the daily nutrients it needs for memory, attention, and even vibrant vision. Call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit ReliefFactor.com to learn more. Look, I was a little bit skeptical. I started taking Think Factor. After a few weeks, wow, my memory, my focus, my concentration, better than ever. And Think Factor results get better the longer it's taken. If you want to stay focused during demanding tasks, keep your memory strong, maintain mental energy for whatever's ahead, well, Think Factor is for you. Call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit ReliefFactor.com to learn more and order Think Factor. Your first bottle is just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily. Call 800-4RELIEF or visit ReliefFactor.com for Think Factor.
More reports of spying by the FBI.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com, NapoliSTL.com.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble, and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 4:25. At 5:25, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran...
Well, there he is, President Donald Trump at 2 a.m. this morning, our time, announcing Epic Fury, a joint operation with U.S. and Israel, and bombs exploding. Apparently, producer Jerome's been right on top of all of the latest reporting. Jerome, you said that the residence for Khomeini has been taken out?
Yeah, so according to the Times of Israel, that they published a satellite image to the New York Times that shows that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's compound in Tehran has been destroyed, as well as some of the buildings in the immediate area. However, there's still not confirmation whether or not he himself was at that residence at that time. But so for those that watch our stream, that's what's being reported this time. We're still waiting on more confirmation regarding that. There have been 2 more updates that have been posted regarding the current situation. The casualties are still rising as people are trying to figure out, who's who and what's going on. The last update for that one was 60 have been injured in the attacks. Now they're up to, okay, so the special governor of Manab County said that at least 51 people had been killed, and now there are more than 60 injured in the attacks that Israel and the United States, Operation Lions Roar and Operation Epic Fury.
Well, Donald Trump later in that statement said that to the Iranian people, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This is clearly a move designed not only to eliminate the nuclear ambitions of Iran, but also to effect, with an E, effect regime change. At best, Barack Obama was hoping that someone somewhere out of the pixie dust would affect back in 2010-11. Had he maybe been more strident with economic sanctions, more material support for people within Iran, it was said over and over again. There was a chance then to do it perhaps with less kinetic action, less risk to Americans who reportedly, right, Jerome, are being attacked. Our bases have been attacked, or have we confirmed that it's been American bases? Because France has bases throughout the Middle East as well. French President Macron is condemning the action. Of course, that's what the French do. They drink wine and eat cheese and condemn everyone else while we protect them. We protect them. We protect them in World War II. We protect everyone, and then they condemn when we're protecting the world. It's crazy. But what's going on now in the bases? Do we know?
So it's not exclusively maybe only U.S. bases, but for certain, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has targeted several bases simultaneously that were in the countries of Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, I believe, is another one. So far, the only one that has been confirmed to have had any sort of damage. It doesn't appear to be major damage, but U.S. officials have noted that the Bahrain facility, the Bahrain U.S. Military base, did in fact sustain some damage to the infrastructure, with no reported casualties at this time. And then in response to that, quite literally during the last hour, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, basically every nation in that region that has a U.S. military base has denounced the retaliatory strikes by Iran, maintaining that they themselves have the right to self-defense for their nations and that they're not going to allow Iranian missiles to strike in their countries at the bases or any other groups within their
So that's, Jerome, that's big deal. If in fact they're warning Iran not to attack, to counterattack, at a minimum, that's I don't know, is that a tacit endorsement of the attack on Iran? I maybe so, right? Because you'd expect them to be condemning the attack if they were against it, wouldn't you? Has there been any statements condemning the attack by Israel in the U.S.?
It does not appear at this time that they've condemned or denounced the attacks by the U.S. and Israel. It appears more so that they just don't want their nations being affected by what's going on more than anything. The posts that I saw were translated from the original language, so I'm not 100% sure if it's a one-to-one comparison. But Saudi Arabia does not want their airspace being used either by airplanes or by allowing missiles to fly through their airspaces that could endanger their people. Kuwait has also issued a statement saying that they have the right to self-defense and that if they are attacked by anybody, that they will defend their nation. Didn't specify only Iran, but that they are maintaining their sovereignty. Qatar has issued a statement to all boats, all their maritime vessels, including personal and private vessels, to basically vacate the water space to go and dock and seek cover. There are nations that have activated anti-missile defense systems that they have to prevent the missiles that were launched at the bases in their area from reaching them. And I can imagine from an optics area, if you are a person in one of these regions, regardless of whether you're pro-Iran or pro-Israel, that if your nation allows your country, even if it's not your base, but your country to be affected by missile fire, that's going to really damage how your support of your leader. So it makes logistical sense to say, we're going to stay out of this. We're not taking this one side or another, but we're not going to also allow you to fire missiles at bases in our countries.
Well, I take it as a positive, though. And again, maybe I'm hoping, over hoping here, but I don't think so. There's a different environment. There's a different temperature of sympathies in the Middle East. And that's been a long evolution. I mean, to Clinton's credit, it started, with, and before him, George H.W. Bush, it started with a lot of the outreach of Israel and Egypt and Israel wanting to at least get along. And now with the Abraham Accords decades later, you saw that solidarity among the Arab nations and at the time, some statements against the aggression of Iran through direct involvement and mostly by proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, others. Well, they supported, they supported Al-Qaeda. They supported, so many of these efforts. And the fact that they're at least condemning Iranian countermeasures here, counterattacks, I think we could say at least that's a non-condemnation of the epic fury. It's not a overt endorsement, but I'll take it. So let's see what happens. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, is reporting intercepting Iranian missiles. They confirmed at least one civilian death from debris in Abu Dhabi, from what I can tell. So it goes on. You're right, though. Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan have said that they have intercepted some missiles as well. Now, are they using American defense systems to intercept those missiles? And if so, bravo. And maybe they're beginning to realize that America doesn't want trouble, But when there's troublemakers in the neighborhood, we're going to help and lead from in front rather than lead from behind. But then we're going to clear out. We're going to sort of be an icebreaker. We're going to open up the field, and then you guys got to take care of your own area in there. Iranian people, Iranian National Revolutionary Guard has been asked by Trump in that statement to put their weapons down and get immunity. 314-912-1019, the number. Bob Onder, Congressman Onder, joins us at 7:25. We'll be talking to Kurt Jefferson, a historian. He wrote a book called The Wars of Israel, just released last year. And he's a scholar on global and international security affairs. And by the way, a Churchill expert and knows an awful lot of history. He's just really, really, you've heard Kurt here in the program before. I just heard back from here. He'll be with us at 8 o'clock. So stay tuned for more as we continue to cover this. And if you missed it earlier, we had Jared Knott with us, a combat veteran from Vietnam, an author and historian, analyzing this from the historical perspective. And Jerome and I have been having a lot of fun back and forth with a couple of different views from both people. Jerome and I think, are firmly ingrained on the right side of the fence. Maybe a little different construct on how and if to be involved, right, Jerome? Good discussion.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's so interesting is that you can see the clear divide between the right now and where they stand on this. Just another quick couple updates.
Sure.
Before I address that real quick. So the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has contacted foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Iraq and warned them not to let U.S. and Israel use their territory to attack Iran, or else they too will become legitimate targets. And so if what the claims of the missile capabilities of Iran are to be believed, then that obviously puts all of them in the crosshairs of a mutually assured destruction type scenario if they are cooperative with the U.S. and Israel, which would make that whole situation even more complicated now.
That's a big deal. Repeat that again for those who didn't hear it. This is potentially big deal.
So Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas, I believe it's pronounced Araghchi, Araghchi, has officially contacted foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Iraq, and has issued an official warning not for them to not let the U.S. and Israel use their territory to attack Iran and issue strikes from their territories, or else those nations will be considered legitimate targets for response by Iranian measures. So
is that desperate threats from a weak and toppling in the act of being toppled regime? Could those threats be realized and executed? Is this saber rattling? They do a lot of that over there. And maybe if it's saber rattling, it's time to everyone vision Indiana Jones. Was it the original movie? Remember when the guy came out and he got the swashbuckling and this thing, and Indiana Jones just pulls out the gun and eliminates the threat. Is it time for that? Is that what we're looking at now? And will the Arab states join us?
Yeah, that would be. I'm not sure what that would actually entail, because then I think we would see the complete destabilization of that nation. So the official statement also includes that Iran will regard the origin and source of aggressive operations of any action aimed at confronting Iran's defensive operations as legitimate targets. And then it's also just been reported that a school in Iran was struck as part of the Israeli Operation Lion's Roar, and that dozens of people school children were killed in that operation. Some reports of estimating between 20 and 38 at this time.
That's Iranian reports, right? And who knows if it wasn't a friendly fire thing? I mean, I don't. Do you trust anything coming out of Iran?
I don't trust anything coming out of any world agency at this point, but I guess my residual point is that's all the updates that we have at this time. I'm keeping an eye on multiple news sources to make sure that we can issue any corrections if there's anything that we got wrong, or that we can keep you guys up to date with what's currently coming out of that part of the world.
No. And it's, look, there will be civilian casualties, right? And I guess this is sort of the old Hiroshima discussion. Will fewer people perish in the end, net, by just putting an end to the nearly half a century long aggression of Iranian people throughout the area, throughout the world? blood and guts, in the words of Donald Trump this morning, saying blood has been spilled along with guts, American blood and guts, and we've had it. We're done with it. And is it time to maybe drop that proverbial, I don't mean literally, but that atomic bomb of sorts, and just say enough of it? Yes, some people will suffer, but people in the future will prosper. They will be free. Women will not be oppressed. I never cease to be amazed how, at least on the left, they can't acknowledge that these despotic regimes that oppress women, the people who celebrate women and feminism, and, you know, which is great, that's fine. My body, my choice. Celebrate me. They don't have a problem with despotic regimes oppressing women throughout the Middle East. Well, let's see what Congressman Bob Onder has to say in a few when he joins us on the Tobler Show. Here on a momentous morning, a very pivotal morning in our nation's, dare I say, our world's history. Epic Fury launched this morning in Iran. We'll be back.
You guys are a shining beacon of liberty in these dark and troubled times on the airwave.
There is no room in America for this kind of conduct.
All of a sudden, they care about free speech? No, they care about dependency and control.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
She will devour the real truth like it was a light snack.
The agenda that the far left is pushing is not working for us. And I'm talking about everybody who look like me.
1019 and 94.1.
Fight for our freedom.
This is News Talk STL.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
This week, we'll revisit the 1999 implosion of the old arena and the hilariously misguided group that was trying to stop it. The A-list interview is with the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, who would have had a birthday a couple of days ago. And we'll acknowledge the 35th anniversary of Yo Vec arriving on the St. Louis airwaves. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Mark Schmitz, father of Jared Schmitz, the founder of the freedom13.org.
We've met with Trump now, I think it's 6 times. Trump has been fantastic. What you see on TV is what you get in real life. I mean, we spent 6 hours at private dinner with him. It wasn't stuffy. It wasn't uncomfortable. It literally felt like you were at your Uncle Bob's backyard barbecue, but he knew information about my son.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. Browse our rainbow of quality fruits and vegetables. Always fresh, always delicious. Hosting an event? Let us create stunning fruit bouquets and vegetable trays. And we proudly stock hundreds of locally made products. And yes, we've even got seasoned firewood for those cozy evenings. Available for pickup or delivery. Anthony's Produce. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 701 Jungerman Road or anthonysproduce.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
As they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them.
That's Donald Trump talking this morning about Epic Fury that was launched in coordination with Israel on Iran. Kinetic action going on now. Congressman Bob Onder joins us now. Bob, breaking news this morning, your initial reaction to what's going on.
Good morning, Randy. Yeah, great to be back with you. Look, it looks like we are at war. And, as much as that's always concerning, I think President Trump, laid it out, outlined the reason for his action well in his speech. Unfortunately, I think there's little doubt that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would use it against us and against our allies. At the same time, they're developing better and better long-range missile capability, and they've been the number one state-sponsored terror in the world. Killing thousands of Americans, maiming tens of thousands of others. Unfortunately, I think the president felt that his hand was forced. Negotiations, deal making were exhausted, and that he had to take this action.
And I guess we're getting we've got a lot of action going on the various feeds. Bob, Congressman Bob Onder joins us now, joins the segment on the Tobler Show. A lot of people are saying, ask Dr. Onder, what's the deal with, declaring war without congressional approval? What say you?
Randy, over the decades, presidents have taken action to protect the interests of Americans, protect American lives, from Thomas Jefferson launching the Marines against the Barbary pirates, certainly through Barack Obama and Joe Biden conducting missile strikes against our enemies, especially in the Middle East. Bill Clinton bombed Kosovo for over a month. There were not declarations of war in any of those cases. President Trump is doing what he believes needs to be done to keep us safe. I think President Trump is a president who likes to make peace, not war, but he felt, and he has access to information that I don't, but it's pretty clear that Iran was attempting to rebuild their nuclear program. And it's very clear that they have sponsored terror against the United States in the decades since this regime took power back during the Carter administration. We've had the United States has had some bad experience with regime change, but I do believe President Trump believed that you couldn't do any worse in Iran, and it was time regardless of regime, to take action to dismantle the Iranian nuclear program.
Bob, we've had some really hearty and really great, deep discussions here. I think producer Jerome represents a very large swath of those of us on the right. about the big right tent, right, which is a growing coalition. And many have those concerns about, hey, how did it work out for us in Tripoli and in Libya? How did it work
100%.
out for us in Iraq? On the other hand, I think with the advent of the Abraham Accords and what we're seeing this morning so far is basically an anti-Iranian counter response message from the surrounding Arab states, which I would have expected in maybe a former day, pre-Abraham Accords, a little bit different posture, right? I would have expected more of a denunciation. I think it's a different playing field now. Am I right or wrong?
I think that's completely correct. Look, I remember I was actually at the hospital doing a consult the night that George W. Bush announced we were going into Iraq. I thought at the time, I need to learn more because this could be a real mess. Well, my initial concern proved out, and unfortunately, many Americans played with their lives and their physical health. No, I don't think we should have gone into Iraq. Likewise, deposing Muammar Gaddafi in Libya was just a really bad idea, and we saw the consequences of that. I think you are right. This is different. Iran is different. I mean, Gaddafi, by the time we deposed him, posed almost no threat to American interests. He had voluntarily dismantled his nuclear program. The Iranians have been for decades working on nukes. And by the way, would have been fine with them having nuclear power. They don't need nuclear power. They have gas and oil. But no, they wanted to have a nuclear weapon. And the Iranian mullahs and ayatollahs have this kind of messianic death cult. They would have used those nukes. So this is with great sadness. We should pray for our troops. Pray that. But it's a very dangerous time. But I will be supporting my president on this one.
Well, let's talk about the support for the president. I'm sure you and those on that side of the chamber the other night, we saw it. We're very supportive. On the other hand, some disappointing choices made by the Democrats when Donald Trump, during the State of the Union, challenged the Dems to either stand up for Americans or sit down for the aliens. It looks like they made a choice, Bob. What was going on there? Take the temperature for us there during the State of the Union.
Yeah, Randy, it was really, really bizarre. You and I have seen many State of the Union addresses in our time, and there were just some things you have to stand up and kind of give some tepid applause, even if it's the president of the other party. Same was true when I was in the Missouri legislature when Governor Jay Nixon was governor. There's some things they say that you just, as a Missourian, as an American, you just have to agree with. And President Trump, he knew what he was doing. He like a good lawyer, I don't think he asked the question without knowing what the answer would be. He asked, I'm going to, and he set it up. I'm about to ask you to stand up if you agree with this statement I'm about to make. And I don't have the exact words, but are interests of Americans more important than those of illegal aliens? And not a single Democrat stood up. Very disheartening. I get their Trump derangement syndrome, that they hate President Trump, but don't you love Americans? Don't you place us ahead of these hordes of millions of illegal aliens that have invaded our country? And specifically was what we're debating right now. We're debating sanctuary policies where essentially Democrats are saying, nope, we're not only with the illegal aliens writ large, but we're with the criminal illegal aliens. When there's one in a jail, no, you cannot turn them over to immigration enforcement. You've got to let them go onto the streets. They need to stay here in the United States. It's just it is sad how far just, I would say, left, but just how far nuts the Democrat Party has gone. I hope the American people recognize that and return the sane party to power in November.
Yeah, well, I mean, November is a real pivotal election. I see this looming, and I just really hope that some of the provisions of the big beautiful bill will come out, and as people see less deduction from their pay stubs, and some heftier refunds than in the past, maybe that'll change some independents' minds who may be wavering, and say, wait a minute, I don't want to reel that all back in. I want more of that. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, the average American will pay $2,300. American family will pay $2,300 less in taxes than they would if the Democrats let the Trump tax cuts expire. Tax on tips, tax on overtime, tax on Social Security have all been reduced. The child tax credit has been increased. And we're already seeing the economic benefits, because I really do agree with many commentators that what happens in November will in large part hinge on what happens in the economy. But we've seen, inflation go from a peak of 9.2% under Joe Biden down to a core inflation rate of 1.3. We've seen real wage growth for the first time in years. GDP, domestic economic growth was 4.4% in the third quarter of last year. It was lower in the fourth quarter because of the Schumer shutdown. Look, we're looking out for Americans. The Democrats, apparently, you always want to try to get at your opponent's priorities. Their priorities seem to be illegal aliens. They just want to flood our country with illegal aliens, give them a right to vote, and steal our elections so they can permanently be in power. I hate to be that cynical, but the evidence is just so overwhelming that that's the agenda.
Well, I mean, if you look at the 1-2 step they're doing, right? First, get the illegals to flood in, and then, give them amnesty, and if you can't get that, don't pass the SAVE Act. Do anything you can to obstruct, voter protection and the sanctity of Americans' votes. It seems like a pretty good formula they're working on from their perspective.
Well, that's absolutely right. I think that's exactly the plan. I mean, you can't do anything in 2026 without showing ID. You can't cash a check. You can't pick up a prescription. You can't get on an airplane. You can't buy a beer or a pack of cigarettes without an ID. And yet you can't drive a car. The idea that our most treasured, most important right in a constitutional republic, in a representative democracy, you can just walk in and vote. That's absurd, and that's why most nations of the world do require some sort of identification to vote. The only reason to oppose voter ID, to impose proof of citizenship for voter registration, is if you want to cheat, and it's very clear the Democrats like to cheat when it comes to elections.
No doubt about it. Now, yesterday, Bill Clinton, on the second day of the Clintons' deposition up there in Chappaqua, was deposed by several of your colleagues on that oversight committee. And I think Jerome has a little bit of some audio we stole from that clip. It hasn't been released yet. Jerome, do you have that clip yet?
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know what. Bob. I know. I think they were showing him the hot tub thing. Wrong clip. Sorry about that.
That wasn't the hot tub clip. Oh my God.
What do you think of this? I think one of the news flashes I saw was when Representative Paulina Luna said, "Whoa, it appears as though he was doing an intel gathering honeypot operation there." What are your thoughts?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that for a second, Randy.
I mean Epstein.
Bill Clinton. Yeah. Epstein. I mean, I think that honestly, I think that's probably what Epstein was up to. He would get wealthy, powerful men. Do the honey, the honey trap thing.
Yeah.
And then he would, ask. They would be compromised. He would ask them for information that he could use to guide his investments. I think, as best I can tell, that's what he was up to. And of course, if you have enough powerful people in your camp, then you could avoid culpability, liability for your sexual crimes. Yeah, I think that might be exactly what was going on. Yes, listening to the segments I've heard from the Clinton deposition, it reminds me of who was that general on Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing, I see nothing. 26 times on the Lolita Express, 17 Epstein visits to the White House. Bill Clinton knows an awful lot about the escapades and the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, and he's just doing what the Clintons always do. I can't recall. I deny. Yeah.
I've never seen a group of people, the Clintons and a few of their, the closest people that have swam in such dirty waters and come out smelling so clean. I just have never, ever, ever seen anything like it. It's amazing.
It's truly amazing.
All right. Hey, Bob, I appreciate your time. And Congressman Onder joins us from time to time with the latest news. I didn't get a chance to ask you about Chloe Cole. I know she was your guest there the other night. Tell us in the last minute we have here, just for a little bit about what's going on with your act that you're hoping will get through this time.
Well, Chloe Cole, of course, is the very courageous, articulate young woman who was victimized by the transgender cult and the transgender industrial medical complex. The Chloe Cole Act will, once and for all, protect kids from the transgender cult, and then allow those kids and their families to hold those responsible accountable for this butchery, this medicalized child abuse known as transgenderism. So it's been referred to judiciary. I'm hopeful we'll get a markup soon and get it to the House floor.
All right, beautiful. Thanks for all your hard work and your analysis and on the run with the breaking news analysis this morning, Bob. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy.
All right, Congressman Bob, Tobler Show. When we come back, hey, we're looking at all the feed here. We're going to review some of that and get a little gestalt of what's going on in your minds through your video responses and your chat responses on Rumble and YouTube and X. We've got a lot of activity this morning as we watch epic fury unfold while we're on the air here. Jerome will take a stock of that. So will I. We'll be back in a few.
Doctor, you have an unsurpassed talent for understatement.
News, analysis, opinion.
The third government shutdown in just 5 months.
Today I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff
to complete chaos in the economy.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Craving the best donuts in town? Master Donuts is your destination for everything delicious. From flaky croissants and kolaches to mouth-watering maple bacon rounds and long johns, apple fritters, cinnamon rolls, donut holes, and a wide variety of specialty donuts that'll make your taste buds dance. We've got something for everyone. Stop by one of our 2 area locations or find us on Facebook. Remember, Donut, go anywhere else. Master Donuts. You'll be glad you did.
I've got Dr. Michael Lewis here, West Point graduate, physician, and retired Army colonel, is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s for traumatic brain injury and concussions. Stuart Tomp brings over 30 years of experience in the supplement industry, brought $1 billion of products to the market, and has appeared in over 6,000 media interviews worldwide, and travels internationally and teaches on health.
Stuart Tomp here, and I've come across the biggest breakthrough in personalized nutrition I've seen in 25 years.
Dr. Lewis here. For the first time, we can measure cellular and gut health. So you can start testing and stop guessing and make decisions based on real data. I'm working with world-class scientists and physicians, and what they're doing is changing everything.
You can message me at elizabeth@statmedicalllc.com. That is Elizabeth at STAT, STAT medicalllc.com.
The biggest stage in collegiate pickleball is coming to St. Louis, February 27th, 28th, and March 1st. Over 500 student athletes from 64 universities compete for national glory at Arch Pickleball and Badminton in Bridgeton. It's 3 days of championship action, school spirit, and over $50,000 in prizes. Powered by Jula and streaming live on Amazon Prime and Pickle TV. Come see the future of pickleball in person or tune in from home. The National Collegiate Pickleball Championship. This is where legends get started.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this.
Well, that's Donald Trump, a little piece of an 8-minute speech on Truth Social this morning at 2 a.m. And we're monitoring what's going on with the Epic Fury. In case you hadn't heard, Israel and U.S. assets attacking Tehran, taking out, Jerome reports, taking out the residence for the Ayatollah there, Khamenei, and also some civilian casualties being reported. So hard to know, if that's going to continue being ongoing reality, or if it's just something that they're reporting over there. We don't know. We're interested in your opinions, 314-912-1011, as we continue to follow this. And Jerome, in case you're just joining us, Congressman Bob Onder was with us last segment. And it's interesting that as I'm looking at the comment thread on the streaming, Jerome, how one listener says, Chloe Cole, we were talking about Chloe Cole and the Chloe Cole Act that he has sponsored to try to federally prohibit any kind of this transitional stuff in these teens who are gender dysphoric and, really in a time of turmoil in their minds. And he said, well, Chloe Cole begged for that surgery for 10 years. And you had a really good reminder, Jerome.
Yeah, so when I was a young lad, I was a bit of a knucklehead, and there were 2 things that I really, really wanted.
When you were a young lad? Wait a minute. Just a young lad?
Okay, when I was a shorter lad as well. When I was,
there you go. That's, when you were a shorter, yes, okay.
When I was a pipsqueak. So I was really into boxing, and one of my favorite boxers of all time was Mike Tyson, and this was after the era where he had that face tattoo, and I thought, I'm in wrestling, I'm in football, like how cool would I look and how intimidating would I look if I had one of those Mike Tyson face tattoos? I thought that would be very intimidating for my opponents. It would make me look like a total, hardcore guy. And so from the time I was probably maybe late elementary school, early middle school, even until I got out of high school, I kept saying, Mom, you can legally take me to go get a tattoo with your permission. Why don't you? I'll pay for it. I will give you the money for it, but just let me get this Mike Tyson face tattoo. That would be so cool. And she kept saying, no, 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 no. And then as I got older and I had to pay my own bills more, I just didn't have a budget to ever get a tattoo. And now as an adult, I'm like, I'm really glad that I have no tattoos at all, no piercings, no tattoos. But I was like, wow, I'm really glad she never caved into that. I also really wanted to be a pirate. I thought that would be the greatest thing ever. I was like, if I can get like an eye patch, if I can get a peg leg and a hook hand, because I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I really liked the Legends of Blackbeard and all those guys. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, she did not let me get a peg leg, a hook for a hand, and an eye patch and a parrot. So
no, I think it's a really clever reminder that woulda, shoulda things that we wanted to do when we were young people, when we were tweens and teens, and thank God some adult in our life, whether it was an influential teacher, grandpa, mom, grandma, sometimes other people other than our parents are more influential, but our parents hopefully too. Put the kibosh on. And I think that's the whole point here. I mean, we need to, the government has an interest in protecting the people. And those people include young people, right? Especially when they are so confused. And we've got a medical establishment now that has gone off the rails. I mean, I'm embarrassed sometimes to see the way my own certifying boards and many in the AMA and others are like, holy cow. Now, the American College of Plastic Surgeons has finally come out and said, no. Nothing should happen ahead of age 18. You could argue, if you wanted to, that since we know adolescence goes all the way through, the mid 20s, really in terms of judgment development neurologically, that maybe that should even be delayed. But I think we could agree that let's at least let people get of college age before they make these existential decisions. Hey, here's what's coming up in the next hour. Todd Schowalter joins us at 8:05. You hear him here every Saturday evening on NewsTalkSTL, and you see his great illustrations as well and cartoons. And then Kurt Jefferson, who is a real expert on global affairs, security matters, Israel, wrote a book called The Wars of Israel. He'll join us at 8:25. I just got confirmation of that. So there's been some moving chess pieces in our show programming this morning as we continue to follow what's going on over there. In some other news, I just wanted to mention, and this got lost in the fog of, the ramp up to the war yesterday. I mean, let's be honest with, Huckabee telling people in the Israeli embassy, hey, you better clear out. And, F-22s appearing in Israel for the first time on Israeli ground. U.S. branded Air Force assets. Some pretty bleak producer price index news came out yesterday. Market really plummeted, went down about 500 points. And, that producer price index represents what people are paying for the various parts and resources and raw materials and things that they use to put things together, or if they're distributors, those products that are bought and then resold to you at the retail level. And that's a big deal. That's up. It was projected to be about 0.5 or 0.6%, up 0.8%. You may say, what are you talking about, Randy? The inflation rate, president said it's low. It's 2 point something percent. Well, yeah, but the producer price index indicates a coming rise in your prices. You're going to see the prices on the menus go up. You're going to see prices on the shelves go up. Producers can only absorb those for so long. Otherwise they go bankrupt. Well, maybe they can fire people because of AI. Yeah, that's an idea. Let's fire people. Well, wait a minute. Those people, what are they going to do for jobs if other people are being fired because of AI? Let me scratch my head on that one. Oh, yeah. Well, then that'll create a demand for Democrats to say, and some Republicans to say, well, don't worry. We've got a welfare system. We'll take care of you. You've got unemployment. You've got food stamps. You've got affordable housing, Section 8. Don't worry about it. Other people will pay for that. What about the debt and the deficit? Well, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll just tax rich people. That's not going to work out either, because you could tax all the rich people 100%, all the billionaires and trillionaires, and we can't pay off the debt yet. So there's some, I think, economic storm clouds on the horizon. Now, maybe, just maybe, as in other great technological revolutions like the internet back in the 90s, some disruption. I remember when the dot-com bust happened in the market. We've maybe seen a little mini bust here with the AI and the tech stocks. And NVIDIA took a big plunge earlier this week. A lot of uncertainty in the markets. Now we've got this international, war going on. Hopefully this will be a several day. The administration is saying this is going to be a several day, not hour event. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Watch your gas prices go up, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out. Go tank up before they do.
So just in regards to that, so Iran, this has been confirmed by NBC News, but the Iranian authorities sent out a mass text message to crucial people that promise a more forceful response than the 12-day war with the U.S., basically saying that they're not going to hold back this time. It's going to be more extensive, more forceful. And again, Iran's armed forces have begun a comprehensive response against American and Israeli bases. So it sounds like they are really not willing to cooperate. If they were not willing to negotiate before, now it seems like that's completely off the table. And again, in conjunction, they were also issuing warnings to their neighboring Muslim countries, saying, "Do not give. If you give them even the airspace for their missiles to come at us from the U.S. and Israel, then you will also be considered valid targets for retaliation as well." So I don't anticipate that this is going to be another 12-day, 14-day. This seems like it's actually shaping up to be a major conflict in that region.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and here's something that crossed my mind, and I've got so many ideas swirling around in my mind. We know that Russia supports Iran very, very heavily. China, too, right? I mean, there's been China influence. What happens if they start, Iran exhausts their missiles and other, offensive weapons, and then China and Russia start supplying them and getting involved? This thing could turn into something. Well, we'll see what happens. Todd Schowalter coming up, top of the hour. Kurt Jefferson after that, global security expert and professor of those kind of things. On the Tobler Show, it's 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Glad you're here. Stay here, please.
PRI Global now has Prismatic, an AI-driven platform that can help you and your business, especially in construction. Simplify your operations, secure data, modernize your business from the cloud up. Visit PRIGlobal.com. Innovation with talent and technology. People, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. Check them out. PRIGlobal.com. PRIGlobal.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall, selling picture postcards in Kansas City, to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. and Israel have launched a major attack on Iran.
Huge plumes of smoke could be seen rising into the sky over central Tehran. There are reports of loud explosions and fighter jets can be heard overhead. Explosions have also been reported in the holy city of Qom, Kermanshah in the west, and Isfahan. This was the result of what Israel's defense minister said was a preemptive attack against threats to his country.
And that is BBC's Joe Inwood reporting. President Trump announced the attacks earlier today.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Russia has condemned the U.S.-Israeli strikes and urged an immediate stop to the campaign. Russia's foreign ministry called the strikes pre-planned and unprovoked aggression against a UN member state. Congressman John James of Michigan says Republicans are committed to eliminating waste and fraud in the nation's healthcare system.
We've already cut fraud, waste, and abuse where criminals essentially were stealing money from the sickest and neediest Americans, folks who were struggling. And by cutting fraud, waste, and abuse, we're guaranteeing Medicare, we're guaranteeing Social Security and SNAP, we're guaranteeing those benefits for Americans who need them the most.
The Pentagon is cutting ties with a number of institutions of higher learning.
The Pentagon will forbid members of the military from attending Columbia, Yale, Brown, and other universities starting next school year amid a campaign to cut ties with institutions that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called factories of anti-American resentment. Hegseth announced the policy in a video posted to social media Friday, 3 weeks after he said the military was cutting ties with Harvard University. Hegseth said the universities have been breeding grounds of toxic indoctrination that undermine military values. I'm Julie Walker.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, launching a new project, or just looking for that extra edge, your brain is your most valuable asset. Now there's a way to support it every single day. Think Factor. From the makers of Relief Factor, Think Factor is built to help you stay sharp, nurture your memory, boost your attention. It unlocks the mental clarity and precision you need to stay ahead of the game, no matter the challenge. After a couple of weeks of taking Think Factor, I noticed a dramatic difference in my clarity, my focus, even my memory. And look, the longer you take Think Factor, the better it works. This is not a one-off. You want to take Think Factor regularly. If you're a go-getter who refuses to settle, Think Factor can help you perform at your best and keep your edge. Call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF, or just visit ReliefFactor.com to order Think Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Your first bottle is just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily with Think Factor.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or STLWindowsandDoors.com.
Have you noticed mattress stores are dramatic? Final clearance, last chance, going out of business every single weekend. Relax. Snooze Mattress and Wellness is locally owned, family owned, and we don't do fake urgency. We use advanced sleep technology trusted by NASA and the Mayo Clinic to fit you to the right mattress, based on your body, not a sales quote. No gimmicks, no games, just better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness. Finally, a mattress store you'll love.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you out for a great night of fun and rock and roll with the Queen Tribute Somebody to Love, Friday, March 20th at the Mill in Granite City. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, opens the show, followed by the ultimate Queen experience from Somebody to Love. That's Friday, March 20th at the Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
I couldn't sleep at all last night. Just thinking of you. Maybe things weren't right. Well, I was tossing and turning and tossing and turning all night. I kicked the blankets on the floor, turned my pillow upside down. I never did.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, producer and Thunder Stealer for the Vic Porcelli Show, weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on News Talk STL. But right now, let's get back to Randy Tobler Show on News Talk STL.
Thank you, Ken. We'll be looking forward to analysis on Epic Fury that was launched, well, in Iran, unusual for a strike by Israel. But Israel and then the U.S. Chiming in with air strikes, pretty devastating, taking out the residence of the Ayatollah Khamenei. We don't know, and apparently, Jerome, I think you've reported that it's been other military installations as well. That's the stated aim. But you're reporting there's Iran reporting some civilians taken out as well, correct?
Yes. So right now that there was a girls' school, elementary age girls' school, they had struck during Operation Lion's Roar. They're reporting it's somewhere between 20 and 38 girls were killed in that strike. But also the more recent update is that Iran has launched drones and missiles at the military bases that are in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates and Iraq. And so it seems like they are continuing to try to strike the bases after those nations had already previously said do not retaliate. So it's still the conflict is still developing, and we'll keep you up to date with that.
Thus far, the other neighboring states, Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, have said to Iran, don't do that. We will defend ourselves. They have not officially, as my last check, have not denounced the strikes themselves, which I think is encouraging. But who knows whether their posture will change or not. If they suffer casualties, if they suffer damage to their gleaming towers in some of those states, will they then start turning on Israel and the U.S.? It could develop into something interesting. Todd Schowalter joins us now from the Right Mind Show here on News Talk STL, 5 to 6 p.m. on Saturdays. And Todd, did the president consult with you before he launched this strike? I mean, I know you're in touch with him a lot. What did he consult with you?
I got to be honest with you, Randy. I was just speaking with Jerome about this. This is what happens, okay, when your wife forces you to watch a rom-com movie on a Friday night that puts you completely to sleep. And I was forced to watch this Eternity film on Apple last night, which it was better than any type of sleeping pill I've ever had because I went right to sleep. I slept like a baby until this morning. I'm just now getting up to speed on this news because I'm still trying to clear the cobwebs of this rom-com that has robbed me of my brain and soul.
I thought you were the only. I was the only one that had to do that last week. I was all ready for some kind of a, Jack Ryan. I tend to like those. We watch those, but I don't know. She was in the mood for one of those. It was like a Hallmark light kind of a thing. It was like, oh my gosh.
You've gone down the Hallmark route?
Oh, it was rough, brother. I'm telling you.
That's cruel.
It's like an ice pick in the eye. Let me tell you.
Well, you're far worse off than I am. Who am I to complain? Hey, you hold it. You've got the record now. Okay.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about this, Todd? Though, I mean, I think this is really going to. Boy, there's so many ramifications of this kind of an activity. Not only just from a international perspective, but there's some the president's ratings aren't the best. The midterms looming, and what do you think's the fallout of this might be?
Well, I think in the State of the Union, he said, his line, peace through strength. And I think that we're dealing with something, especially with Iran. I kind of use the analogy, it's like the little kid that won't stop playing with matches. And, you can tell somebody to stop doing something and you can scold them. But, I mean, as long as they're going to keep building any type of nuclear capabilities that could literally, destroy the world, so to speak, I mean, I think you've got to deal with that in a prompt and quick manner. Otherwise, I mean, you're going to have a bigger issue down the road. I mean, whether this turns into a bigger conflict than it is at the present moment, that's to be seen. I certainly hope not. I mean, in an ideal situation, would be like the last strike where we got it done, it was over quickly, and everybody went on their way. My biggest concern, is if this would escalate and we'd have ground troops and things like that, and God forbid there would be retaliation, which I think we should be expecting of some sort, even on the home front. Then that's going to be obviously, catastrophic. Hopefully, I mean, you've got to deal with these things, though, Randy, in such a way with somebody this unstable. You can't. How do you negotiate with somebody that you can't have a logical discussion with? And I think this is really the only deterrent, not just for the United States and Israel, but the world.
Well, and the other thing I think in the background here is that unlike other bad actors, this whole expressed apocalyptic vision that over the years, starting way back at the revolution, remember President Ahmadinejad of Iran, and then the Ayatollah Khomeini at that time. There's been a lot of talk and banter in Iran about, and in some other parts of the Arab Middle East, that we're going to usher in and pave the way for the end of the world. That's what we need to do when the Mahdi returns. That kind of language with a nuclear armed, warhead coming from Iran scares the bejesus out of me.
Well, and it should, and that's it's like just having a crazed gunman, running around your party or something, like saying, "I want to kill myself and everybody here." I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? If you have an opportunity to take him out, you do it, not just, for yourself, but for everybody at the party. And when you are dealing with a faction like that is just so unstable, and their whole mindset is what you're talking about, just apocalypse. I mean, that's psychotic. I don't care what you want to blame it on, and are used for an excuse, whether it's what your values are, what your religion is, whatever, you name it. But in our free world, that just can't be tolerated. If I don't want to, I guess I could. If you equate it to mental illness, what are you going to do? I mean, you either put the person in a hospital, you treat the person, but you certainly just don't let them run freely around society, or you see what happens. And I think that's we kind of we have a lot of that. The things that are happening even here in the United States with criminals who have come in and done terrible things. We've got stuff over in Iran where they're kind of like that. That's the world version. I mean, they're planning, they're doing things when it comes to terrorism and future terrorism. That if we have an opportunity to stop that now, why wouldn't we? I mean, that's our obligation, not only to our country but the world. And if that's somebody's, that's a moral compass that we're depending on an apocalypse of the world, and the rest of us are sane. I mean, what? Is there any way that we can't deal with this? Or we have to?
Yeah. Well, but Todd, it's no secret that you see on your show, and you listen to others on this station and the comments, and I see it this morning on it's quite a vigorous comment thread this morning. there's another side of the story to the people on our side of the fence, and by us I mean the big conservative tent that Donald Trump expanded, and that is, hey, what happened to that getting us into wars thing? What about America first? What about our economy? Can we afford to build up and support the military industrial complex even more through this kind of an action? And our relationship with Israel, it's out there, it's a reality. How do you answer it?
Well, I mean, again, as far as getting into a major war, I certainly hope that doesn't happen. I hope this is a quick strike or strikes. I don't think this is going to be the last one. I don't think, I'm optimistic over the fact that I don't think Donald Trump wants to get us involved in a long, drawn-out war, whether it be like Afghanistan or something like that. I really think he's more strategic in that. And the confidence that I have in him is he's a lot more cerebral and thought out than I think a lot of people give him credit for. I mean, you may see some of the surface things, but I got to tell you, this was not just a spontaneous knee-jerk reaction. I mean, this was well thought out. He's consulted with people. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that he knows and his staff knows than we do at the present moment. And I really, truly believe that he would not get us into a situation that he thought, or he knew rather, that, this is going to be a 3-4 year process and we're going to lose American lives. I don't think he would get us in that. I'm really hoping and praying that this is a strategic, quick strike.
Well, after all, I mean, with the experience of the overstep, and I really think it came out of a good heart and a true love of American virtues and our constitutional republic. I'm talking about George W. Bush, hoping that he could turn an Arab state into a Western democracy. And I think we learned that didn't work. But Donald Trump well knew that, and he criticized it. And I think in that context, it's hard to believe that there's any kind of an intent of occupying and trying to change these people. Well, he said it this morning. Let Iran. We're opening the door. This is your opportunity. Let's see what you do with it. So, I think it's sort of a take them out. It's the time is right. The Iranian people have been, protesting in the streets and martyrs dying in the streets. Now's their time. If they blow it, Todd, I don't know if they have another chance, like he said.
No, and again, it's I equate it to say your neighborhood, your subdivision. You got the crazy neighbor. Okay, now I'm all for let your neighbors just be their neighbors, let them be crazy. But when they start jeopardizing the rest of the neighborhood, and you're afraid they're going to burn your house down, now you've got to proactively deal with it. And hopefully that's done in a quick way. And I think Iran is kind of like the crazy neighbor in the world. You don't know what in the heck they're going to do. They're very unpredictable. You try to say, hey, look, if you do this, this is going to happen, and they go ahead and do it anyway. How do you deal with somebody like that? And Donald Trump, being the top negotiator of all times, he knows that. And I've said it before, Randy. I mean, you can't argue or have a debate, a cerebral debate, with a crazy person or somebody that is just brainwashed and won't have rational thought. So how do you deal with that? I mean, the only thing you can do at that point is, unfortunately, physical force, which is what we're seeing right now. I honestly believe that if Donald Trump and Iran, if everybody could sit down on the table and hash something out as mature adults, that would be done. Obviously, that's not the case. And if that's not the case, the only solution is what's happening, unfortunately. And I got to tell you, I think Iran has asked for this, and they've called it on themselves.
Well, you're right. I mean, they were given every chance. And he said that yesterday on the tarmac, right? Coming off the plane. He's like, look, these people are not serious. They're piddling around. They say they want to negotiate. They don't want to negotiate. We've made it clear what the expectation is and what needs to happen. And they keep playing hanky-panky with us, so it's not going to go on long. And, well, now we see it. So, all right, well, the conversation goes on as we're seeing some Israeli Defense Forces footage now of the Tomahawk missiles actually taking out strategic targets there. We'll see what happens, and I know you'll be talking about it. Well, I know you had a show planned. I had a show.
Yep.
And I'm glad you joined us. We were going to talk about State of the Union. What are you going to be talking about at 5 this evening?
Well, it won't be about this because we pre-recorded. We pre-recorded on Thursday. But no, we've got an author coming on. She's from the Real Housewives of Dallas, which I've another show like the show last night that I've never seen. But she's written a book about she was in the unfortunate situation of her mother and her stepfather. It was a murder-suicide, so it's not cheery, but how she got through all that. And then we've got the wonderful Rich Rubino coming on, who's our political analyst. But I don't know if you know, Randy, he's an aspiring comedian, so we let him do a few of his jokes at the end, too, that really brings the house down, or at least the House of Cards. I don't know.
No, he's, let's just say he and Elon may have ridden the same bus, but I really enjoy Rich. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So we've got that, and, the usual tomfoolery.
Yeah, I love, it's always great, and it's always entertaining and informative. That's great radio. With Todd Schowalter, and you hear him 5 o'clock this evening on News Talk STL. Thanks for being with us, Todd. Appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk with Kurt Jefferson. Professor Jefferson, of course, joins us frequently, formerly over at Westminster in Fulton, and we'll talk to him and maybe get a little bit of a what would Churchill do analysis as that weekend's coming up at Fulton. So we'll be back with more on the Tobler Show as we continue to analyze and report on another big day in American history. It's called Epic Fury, and it's going on as we speak. We'll be back.
Jumped out of bed, turned on the light, I pulled down the shade, went to the kitchen for a bite, rolled up the shade.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
There's only one place you can get pizza cooked over coals. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Of course, Napoli Brothers has a great selection of pasta dishes. Between the pizza and pasta, trust me, you will not leave hungry. Then, a few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge, a wide variety of quality cigars, each offering a unique smoke. That cigar, some premium whiskey, all you need to do is enjoy. Lit Cigar Lounge and Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, Chesterfield Valley.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration, custom foam, and Lee May concrete block. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got defunded, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad.
Oh my God!
You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
This is Larry Connors. Right now, you're listening to Dr. Randy Tobler. Informative, engaging, enjoy. And I invite you to listen to the Larry Connors USA Daily Report, Monday through Friday at 6.
We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now.
Well, that's Donald Trump announcing early this morning, and that there was an attack that was rendered on Iran, on Tehran, by the Israeli IDF in conjunction with U.S. forces. We are seeing where we're hearing reports, and they are reporting that they attacked directly the residence of Ayatollah Khamenei, as well as the president there, and so we're looking at now. Jerome, you're reporting on some strikes on the backside, right? That are coming back against some bases in Bahrain and other places, correct?
Yeah. So
okay. Jerome's getting Kurt on the line now. Kurt Jefferson's going to join us, so let's go ahead and do that. As I'm watching the monitors, we're watching a very fluid situation, ladies and gentlemen. The surrounding countries have said to Iran, at least thus far, the latest reporting we have, do not attack us. We reserve the right to defend ourselves with vigor and with force. We take that as a tacit, at least non-condemnation of the Israeli and U.S. attack. We hope that this will be as the administration said, a days-long effect to effect regime change. That's what Donald Trump said later in that 8-minute-long statement. Kurt Jefferson joins us now, and Kurt has written a book called Wars of Israel. You should pick it up. It's really quite a chronicle of the history of Israelis' military and their actions throughout their history. And he joins us now. Professor Kurt Jefferson from Spalding University. How you doing, Kurt? Thank you on short notice for joining us.
Greetings, Dr. Tobler from a bluegrass state. It's great to be here with you. I'm doing great.
So your initial thoughts this morning, Jerome's reported that Iran is saying that a girls' school was hit in the missile strikes and, several casualties and children killed. Don't know what we can make of that, but I think we're all concerned about the action itself and the ripple effects potentially and where it could lead. What is your initial thought?
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on this, Randy. First of all, I think of Iran. I think a country of 90 million people, the size of Alaska. That means it's combined the size of California, Texas, and Montana, a fifth of the United States. It's a big country, the 16th most powerful army in the world, with about 600,000 active duty Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps soldiers. That's my initial kind of thought in terms of the logistics of military power. But I also think about Iran since January, a country in chaos, 100 cities burning, citizens fed up with an atavistic regime that's terroristic. they've killed, according to most sources, 7,000 to 30,000 of their own civilians in retaliatory action, terrorizing their own citizens. So I think President Trump has stepped out to try to address some of this. And of course, I think the military may not be completely unstable, but there's been signs in the last 2 months of it having a little bit of teetering within its ranks because the citizens are so fed up with what they're seeing in their own country.
Yeah, and we're, another interesting part of this thing, Kurt, was that in this long statement, and I heard earlier this morning that he might make a statement to the American people sometime today, sometime late this morning. But again, I haven't confirmed that. But at least in his initial statement on Truth Social, he had some words for the very IRG and other military, forces sympathetic, at least overtly, to the government. And he had some words for them. Do you have that, Jerome? Well,
I'm sorry, what?
What he was saying was, stand down, IRG, stand down, military, and put down your arms, and we will give you immunity. You will have immunity. I find that interesting. Does he have? Are there some? What I'm wondering is there already sort of a shadow government in place ready to take over and to give immunity? I mean, how can he make that kind of a promise? Because he did.
Yeah, it's a good point. They've been talking, of course, with the son of the former Shah, Reza Pahlavi, et cetera. So whether that the former Shah's son would come in and resume as the king, essentially, is another question. The extent to which a vacuum would open up, as had happened in 1979, and then of course the Islamists were able to jump into it. And so it is an interesting period, but there's no question that the Israelis and their, secret intelligence service, the Mossad and others, have been on the ground laying the groundwork for these strikes for weeks, if not months, maybe even years. Given the extent of what this operation is, this isn't just, as Secretary Rubio said in Munich a few days ago, dropping 14 bombs on 3 sites. This is 7, 8, 9, 10 cities that the Israelis and the Americans are going after.
Yeah. That's Professor Kurt Jefferson. He's professor of global leadership at Spalding University. And he joins us on the Tobler Show on a very dynamic morning. Things are fluid. They're happening. We're reporting the best we know. And no one's got a better perspective on what this means, both in the region and internationally, than Kurt, having written a book called Wars of Israel and several other books contextualizing security and so forth. So lots of wisdom this morning on the Tobler Show. Jerome and I were talking, Kurt, earlier, and he raised the issue. And I think it's one that we need to talk about. There are people in the conservative tent, the expanded tent, the MAGA tent plus, that would say, wait a minute, how's that regime change thing working out for you? Look at Libya. Look at Iraq. Look at where we've effected regime change in the past. Didn't work out so well. Why repeat what happened in the past? Is it different now?
Yeah, that's a very good point and a very good set of questions, Randy. I had, in prepping for this conversation briefly, I wrote down, how will MAGA, the base, react to this when you're looking at most of your supporters being much more isolationist, if you want to use that terminology. And I think that's going to be one of the ramifications of this. I think that's tied and coupled with, how is this conflict different from the POTUS 43, George H.W. Bush's 2003 Gulf War, and even the activities of the Afghan war started in 2001 that kind of went on and on. That's one thing. I also think when you go back to Secretary Rubio's speech and then couple that with Donald Trump's 8 or 10 minute speech last night, I think you're looking at an active reordering of the global order or remaking of the global order. And I think that ties into your question, too, that this is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, to think that you sit and read about history and read about Franklin Roosevelt in World War II and read about other periods in history, John F. Kennedy with blinking, in the 60s with Cuban Missile Crisis, and then you see Donald Trump and his team talking actively about doing some of these things. And then even I saw the report last night that Secretary Rubio is apparently talking quietly with the Cubans about regime change, a peaceable regime change. So I think that's all, to me, just incredible, for good or for bad, irrespective of one's foreign policy or political views. But I think it points to one thing, that Donald Trump is a lame duck, and he said, I'm going to do what I can to defend American interests, and this is how I'm going to approach it.
Hey, thank you for joining us this morning on such short notice again. We do have a listener question, though. So to your knowledge, has either the United States or Israel laid groundwork for the Shah's family to return to Iran? And who do you think, at this point, assuming we can follow through on the regime change, who do you think that the Shah would be reinstated?
So that's a very good question. Thank you, Marcus. I feel there's been some movement that direction, but everything I saw about the Shah, in spite of the fact that he's made the rounds on lots of media and so forth, in spite of the fact that the mainstream media has not really covered this issue up till now in a lot of depth, it's been mainly non-mainstream media and some of the YouTube channels and so forth. I'm not sure what the stomach for the Shah coming back to power is on the ground in Iran. He's made comments of, we want a constitutional monarchy, but as monarch, I won't get in the way of whatever that looks like. And I know that is in theory a good idea, but in practice, that's another question. But I do believe he's probably met with Donald Trump and sat down with him and talked with him. But the extent to which Israel, because he's a strong supporter of the Reza Pahlavi is a strong supporter of Israel, as his father was. Israel would have to be doing most of that work on the ground, and the Americans would be supporting. So I do believe some of those conversations have happened, but I'm not sure the political parties in the middle that are kind of centrist parties have the support in Iran to bring him to power. There'd have to be a wider coalition of political parties to make sure that could happen. But yeah, that will be an interesting question to see if that takes place. And of course, the other thing here is, could a military regime come out of this to a certain extent? Even if the military has decapitated their leadership, I'm hearing reports that head of the judiciary, head of the IRGC have already been eliminated by the American and the Israeli attacks. So we'll see what transpires with that.
Talking with Kurt Jefferson, professor of global leadership, author of Wars of Israel, here on the Tobler Show. As epic fury is unfolding, and apparently now they're unleashing, Iranians have unleashed some drone attacks, according to some reporting Jerome's found out, and they're heading towards Israel bases, and they're raining down missiles on Israel, most of which are intercepted. Kurt, could the Abraham Accords have been the first level of a multi-level chess game that Donald Trump was playing? And I mean, I think the guy's probably smarter than some of his sophomoric antics on the stump sometimes indicate. But that seemed to be a pivotal change in setting the stage for a different environment, and at a minimum, a non-hostile environment to Israeli and U.S. actions with Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas and their proxies. And do you think that was one of the most brilliant things that's happened in recent geopolitical history from the U.S. perspective?
I think, Randy, that you're right, that the Abraham Accords, in my opinion, and I talk about this in my book, The Wars of Israel, really were set up to kind of do an end run on the Palestinian question. It had bedeviled the West and the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Arab world for so long, since the wars of 1948-49 between the Arabs and the Israelis, and it was set up to do an end run to say everything that is going on in this region doesn't boil down to dealing with Palestinian sovereignty. It is set up to deal with changing the framework of the debate. You know, Israel can provide you with certain economic carrots if you'll just recognize their right to exist. And so the Emirates and Sudan and some other states were willing to bite and say, hey, we're interested in Israeli technology. Some of the things that they're doing would help us domestically. And so you started to see some change there. So, yes, I think Trump gets a lot of credit for kind of changing that narrative. The problem is the Palestinian thing was used by the Iranians as the wedge issue to not only drive wedges between Sunni states, and remember, this is a Shia state and this Shia Islamic state, and there's no real love lost between Sunni and Shia states historically. And I'm talking going back 1,000, 2,000 years. Well, not 2,000 years, because Islam's not that old, but at least 1,000 years. So Iran, even though they can claim a certain amount of leadership, use this to drive the wedge. And then, of course, as I talk about in my book, you know, the military of Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was able to siphon off oil sales to China and then illegally launder $12 billion into their own coffers. So that military operates like a lot of authoritarian militaries. The People's Liberation Army in China, they have their own companies, their own shadow businesses and operations. And so this is how Iran was able to get around some of the sanctions coming in from the West. So, yes, I agree to your original point. I think it was genius. And yet, at the same time, I predicted we'd see some of this coming in the second Trump administration, and we haven't seen it yet. But part of that is Trump's had to deal with trying to end the Gaza struggle and the Gaza fighting. And whether this today will scupper the Gaza peace board that'll remain to be seen.
Kurt, I know it's early in the morning, and I wouldn't ask you this except that you're the equivalent of a Mickey Mantle or pick your slugger, cleanup hitter, and I mean that in all sincerity. But I want to ask you a big question that is really beginning to divide. Well, it's not beginning to divide; it's dividing a lot of the coalition of the right, if you will, that elected Donald Trump, and that is this whole issue. And in the context of the Epstein files and the alleged Mossad connections and what some people say are way too friendly relationships between American politicians and Israelis. And basically, the long and short of that argument is the U.S. is just a tool of Israel, and we're being played like a fiddle. So, Professor Kurt Jefferson, author of The Wars of Israel, how do you answer that criticism?
Well, I think, to be fair, I think there is some truth in the criticism, even though I'm a staunch supporter of the state of Israel myself. I wrote the book to try to at least have some literature out there grounded in the facts that the relationship of the U.S. to Israel is important from a standpoint of Israel being the only democracy in the region, the only state that has attempted to provide a safe haven for the Jewish people coming out of the Holocaust. Of course, the Americans spend and have spent, anywhere from $3 to $4 billion a year in foreign aid to the Israelis. And also the Americans have helped the Israeli military with regard to the assets they need to defend themselves. So I do think in some ways that, yes, the criticism on the surface looks very, very somewhat legitimate when you say, well, there are only 8 billion people or 10 billion people with about a billion Arab, or not a billion, 10 million people with about a million Arabs. And so this is a situation where it looks like undue influence. And then you get into there's works on the Jewish lobby and all that. But I don't buy that generally. I think the issue has been that it has been our friend in the Middle East because of the geostrategic position that they play. And if you recall in the 1950s, it was the Soviets who came into the region and started to cozy up to the Arab states, and we worked as a balance of power in terms of geopolitics in the Cold War with the Israelis. I'm not saying that couldn't flip at some point. It very well could. Even many American presidents, Bush 41, George H.W. Bush, started to call the Israelis on the carpet over settlements and other kinds of things. But I do think in terms of what we're seeing today, the global crisis with anti-Semitism coming back to levels that we haven't seen since the 1930s, this is a serious cultural issue in the West. And it's not to say that we write the Israelis a blank check, but it's to say that, look, if this kind of cancer is going to eat at a Western society, that you can pick on one people. And remember, this is a people of only about 17 million globally out of 7 or 8 billion on the globe. If we're going to target this group of people just because of their race, their religion, their background, that violates everything we stand for as a free republic since 1776. So that's my take, and I know I'm somewhat biased on that, but I do think it's important to try to have some balance there. And then also understand that Israel is powerful as well. They're not, even though they're 10 million people, they have the ability to go into different parts of the globe and make a difference technically, geopolitically, strategically, et cetera, cybersecurity, all of it. So, I think that the two countries have been very, very friendly for a lot of different reasons. But I even talk about the atomic development of the Israelis. John F. Kennedy called them on the carpet, so did LBJ. And so there have been times where the U.S. has not just written them a blank check. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that you endorse a healthy skepticism, even of your friends, right? I mean, I think in these times you never.
Sure.
And I think that's good. All right. Well, that's why I threw you the hard high fastball and you hit it out of the park. That's what you do. There's no one better informed on these matters than Kurt Jefferson, and we really appreciate your input on very short notice. I texted Kurt during the show, and you stepped up to the plate. Thanks very, very much, my friend. We appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be touching base frequently in the coming days and weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. As always, great to talk with you.
All right. Take care. There he is. We'll come back and wrap it up on News Talk STL 1019 94.1 in just a minute or two. Stay tuned.
Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been
If
wet.
you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Heroes Care, and Michael Funeral Home.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Psst. Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Staff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere. And we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Fort Trail, and the original Stefanina's in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at steffspizza.com. Steff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
When insurance companies know you're represented by under law, they know you're not going to be pushed around. So if you suffer an injury, damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice you have under law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every turn, not settle for less. You want to win? Call 314-9-MILLION. 314-9-MILLION. Under wins.
Chris Cooper here, your financial friend from Serenity Wealth Management. We have a special show coming up this weekend on News Talk STL. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Tune into the Serenity Wealth Now show. This week featuring special guest Katie Lizak of the Sparrow's Nest. We're going to talk about charitable giving and making sure the money you donate can go the farthest to help your community. Tune in right here Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Serenity Wealth Now show right here on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.
Hey, it looks like you like to get up early, so Monday through Friday, listen to me from 5:30 to 9. Mike Ferguson here, and you are listening to The Randy Tobler Show right here on News Talk STL.
You are listening to the Tobler Show, and if you weren't able to hear the whole show, we've been talking about this epic fury most of the time. We talked with Congressman Onder. We talked with a Vietnam combat vet who wrote a book on the blunders that led to international disasters, not implying that that's what this is. In fact, I generally support it. But there's going to be some pain along the way, and those who support it are going to have to be able to defend it and be ready to answer the questions, right? Epic Fury underway. Tom joins us on the line now at 314-912-1019. Welcome in, Tom. What's on your mind?
Hi, Randy. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, maybe two quick questions. I know your topic is about what's going on all across the pond, but I just hope that Rocky Sickman from Washington, Missouri, or Crockett, Missouri, is having an ice cold beverage this morning watching this, as he was one of those hostages back in the our wonderful days with Carter. Anyway, the other thing is, here's my question, and I just don't understand why no one can come back at Claire McCaskill after the Obamacare fiasco and how terrible this whole thing has been. And she sat there and scolded us in our face about, I read the whole thing. I know exactly what this is. This is what I'm doing. I'm from the Show Me State. One thing after another. And I knew she was lying from her teeth, and I had to sit there and listen and watch that person from the time she was running an office in Kansas City, and I had to unfortunately watch her up through the ranks until she, took out talent with all her, trying to be such a friend to the senior citizen and acting like she was part of the people, and it couldn't have been a bigger bunch of Kraka stuff, you know what. And I just wish somebody would expose her real quick, just expose her comments somewhere. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we'll have to go back and do that. I was lecturing medical groups, public groups all along the line as that thing was brewing, and I warned everyone that when the government gets into problems that are a very intimate relationship between a doctor and his patient or her patient, it's not going to work out well. You can't bureaucratize that. You can't widgetize it. You can't corporatize it. You certainly can't governmentize it. And that's what happened. Things became more expensive, less accessible. And frankly, I think it's eroded the quality of care, except in the very high technical levels, which would have gone on anyway. I mean, by the time you haven't had good primary care and you've been dismissed and you don't have a relationship with your doc, and frankly, you just give up for some of the lower level things that could have been fixed, and then you have your big bad heart attack and you want robotic surgery to fix your coronary arteries, yeah, that's fine. But for the 95% of care that people need 95% of the time, it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. We all knew it, everyone in the medical community, except administrators, consultants, the tech manufacturers, mandatory electronic medical record. They all knew it was going to be a bonanza for them. But the people providing the care on the one end and the people, sadly, they didn't know it as well. The people receiving the care, they didn't quite get it. They bought the hook, line, and sinker from McCaskill and the rest of them. And there you go. The rest is history.
Well, I wish Haas and Little Joe would come riding in and save us, but this bonanza is going to be just a fiasco. And I appreciate you taking my call. Thanks
for the call. Appreciate it. Well, okay, there you go. It is what it is, and it's there. And shame on shame on John McCain with the thumbs down. God rest your soul, John. You served the country valiantly, and you did, and that's great. But that was a huge, huge mistake, and we could have undone it. We didn't undo it, and now they don't even have the will to undo it when they got a chance now at the end of the year in the shutdown. And the Republicans have disappointed me in the wake of that disaster. They've had chances to fix it, and they just don't want to do it. Now, that could be because too many of us are voting for the kind of Republicans that won't do it. I don't know. Well, we'll continue to follow Epic Fury. I'm sure that the programs throughout the day and through the week will continue to follow this. And stay tuned on our X feeds at Randy Tobler, MD, at Producer Jerome. You'll be seeing that. And listen to the program on the podcast coming up if you didn't get a chance to catch all of it. So, yeah, valiantly on we fight, the good fight, continue to discuss the good discussions, and above all, wish the best and the most safe journey for our troops that are now in harm's way overseas. I'm Randy Tobler for our producer, Jerome. Thanks for being here this week. We'll see you next time on The Tobler Show.
That transfigures you and me as he died to make men holy. Let us live to make men free. While God is marching
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight.